There we go. Hey, Rich. Good
Hey,
morning.
hey, Matt, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I excited to have you on. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. As we have people jumping on here, it's a special coffee brunch live stream edition here. We do the lunch and learn live streams every so often, but excited to have you on a Friday morning. Everybody here. So. Hopefully not too much stands between this and the weekend for most of you guys. But do you have any fun weekend plans? We're doing just a bunch of Halloween stuff with the kids. I know.
Yeah, we're doing we're doing some fall cleanup, So
Nice. There we
going
go.
through the shed and getting organized there, organizing the garage a little bit, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Good to get things done too. So
Yeah.
yeah, but awesome guys. Well, we're both in St. Louis here, St. Louis area at least. So live here, excited to have Rich on. Again, Matt Camp over here with DealMachine, work on partnerships over here. I know Rich, we're coming up on your event. You've got the Gateway to Freedom event coming up here pretty soon. So maybe could you start there and start to tell our audience more about the event coming up, who it's for, why you felt it was needed. I'd love to start there if that works, man.
Yeah, that sounds great. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, it's called Gateway to Freedom. It's a real estate investor conference. It's going to be all encompassing. Topics from wholesaling to rehabbing to buying, holding, not just long-term rentals. We're going to have someone that specializes in Section 8 rentals, somebody that specializes in short-term rentals. We're also going to have a lending expert talking about how to get funding for real estate deals. We're going to have some mindset coaches there to talk about like dealing with adversity when you're working with real estate deals. We have two great keynote speakers lined up that are well known as well. So I mean, it's going to be a great event. And really what led it to me was I host a real estate investing monthly meetup in the St. Louis area. Last year we started January 22. We have a different speaker each month, and we had some pretty good local, well-known, very successful St. Louis real estate investors on our monthly speaker list, if you will. And at the end of the year, I invited them all back for December, to serve on panels, just like have a panel of mixed from all of our speakers. And most of them, there were a couple that didn't, but most of them said, yeah. And we had the biggest crowd we've ever had. And I thought, well, what if we could turn this into an actual conference? Because I've been to real estate investing conferences. I know you have, Matt, and it's just such an energy and such an awesome thing. But you also always have to go to, like a Las Vegas or a Los Angeles or Dallas or Miami or someplace like that to go to these conferences. And I thought, you know what? St. Louis deserves to have one of these. We've got such a vibrant and rich real estate investing market. Let's have one here. It's never been done before. So this is the first one we've done, and we're modeling it after some of the big ones. We're going to want to make this a world-class event for anybody that attends. We think there's a ton of value to this event. So that's really why we do it. I've been a real estate investor for 10 years now, and like I said, it's time to give some love to St. Louis.
Yeah. And is it g2free.com? Does that work for people?
Yeah, it is. Yep. www.g3free.com.
Yeah. Awesome. So I want to put that in the chat for everybody here. If anyone's in the St. Louis area, or we'll be in that area at that time. Love to see you guys there. I know. Again, we've got people in St. Louis here, and all the original partners of DealMachine are all from St. Louis as well. So definitely something that I'm passionate about locally. But can you maybe tell me more on the crowd for it? I know it seemed like an event that could work for somebody who's new and just getting into real estate, and also the more advanced investor. Like, can you break down how you guys are doing that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're trying to make it so it's for everybody, and it really just depends on how you look at it, right? Whether you've been in the industry 20 or more years, or if you've been in this industry 20 or more seconds, or all you did was have a passing thought that I want to become a real estate investor. I mean, this kind of a conference is for everybody. And, like I said, yeah, we're going to have some basic kind of stuff, but we're going to get into, more things. Like we have an expert coming on talking about how to set up your standard operating procedures and what systems you should have in place, those kinds of things as well, that kind of dive in even more into scaling your business. We have an expert on building teams, and so they're going to walk you through how do you actually build a real estate investing team in case you want to scale, and even if you don't want to scale, how to leverage team members that you don't maybe bring on as a W-2 employee, but you can work with and leverage and use their expertise. So newbies, you come in, perfect. This is a perfect fit for new investors, and you're going to learn a ton from the speakers, and you're going to make some connections. Experienced investors, you may have seen these speakers, because 16 of the 17 speakers are actually, in this full disclosure, actually from St. Louis, doing deals in St. Louis, live in
Love
St.
that.
Louis, St. Louis investors, super successful at what they're doing. So they have a ton of knowledge and information. But even if you've been an experienced investor and you're like, oh, I saw that person at a free meetup, a couple months ago or something, that's great. It's not all about the speakers. An event like this is also the connections you make with the people that are there. You don't know if you're going to meet your next business partner at one of these things. You never know. Somebody's going to bring you the biggest deal you've ever had in your life at one of these conferences. It's just, there's so much to these conferences. It's not just about the speakers. The speakers get you in the door. It's like, oh man, I really wanted to hear from that person. I've, just throw out a name or whatever. David Dodge, I've always wanted to hear him speak.
Yep.
Or Christina Aguilera, or, you got Sean McCloskey coming, Mike Kitko, things, guys like that. And you go to the website, you can see the whole speaker list. And I'm not sliding anybody. We've got power players. But these are the folks, you may see, oh, you know what, I really wanted to see that person speak, or I've really always wanted to hear that person speak. Yeah, it brings you in, but the connections you're going to make and just the overall experience you're going to have is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I was looking at the speaker list. I mean, you've got a ton of people who are friends of DealMachine as well that we've had on, speaking to our audience, like Christina. She's the one with the SOPs, I assume, right?
Yeah, the SOP Factory.
Yep, I've Kevin locally, David Dodge is another one. Lucas Walls, Matt Hayes. I'm just going through the list. Like we've got quite a few people here that we're fans of on our end as well. So excited to see that involvement too, man.
Yeah, they're all heavy hitters. I mean, they really are. And being that originally when we started this out, we started marketing this back in May. And it was like, look, we're going to, like I said, St. Louis hasn't had a conference like this. So we thought, well, maybe just people in St. Louis would want to come to a conference like this. So we really, designed it to be a real estate investing conference, from St. Louis, get speakers from St. Louis for St. Louis, make sure St. Louis real estate investors can come to this thing, make it affordable, price it right, and then have it in St. Louis. So from St. Louis, for St. Louis, in St. Louis. But as we built this out, we're like, there's no reason in the world we shouldn't at least tell folks in other markets, come on out. I don't care what market you're in, especially if you're in the Midwest. This is going to be a great conference from you, whether in Kansas City, Nashville, Memphis, Louisville, Chicago, Indianapolis, Little Rock, Minneapolis, whatever. It doesn't matter. Detroit. And I'm not excluding, your Austins, your Dallas, your Miami, not excluding them. I'm just saying this is such an appealing thing for the Midwest because it's Midwest folks talking about Midwest deals, using Midwest numbers, to make a deal. Because it's hard. I mean, the numbers work and they're right. When you're talking about, real estate investors using formulas and how do you figure out you're doing deals, that's easy to apply, whether it's a $10 million house or a $10,000 house, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. But when you're from the Midwest and Matt, you're from the Midwest, when you hear, especially like if you see a TV show, an HGTV show where they talk about, and Chicago is in this too, and that's a Midwest town. They talk about this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that's $827,000, right? You're like, what? You're blowing your mind if you're from St. Louis. You're like, wow, there's one neighborhood that has one of those, or whatever. But when we talk about, well, I got this deal under contract for $150,000. I was talking to a couple in Seattle airport, actually on the plane heading to Seattle, where they were from Seattle, came in town to settle affairs of family, were flying back out to Seattle. And we were talking to them. They found out it was in real estate. They talked about they were coming home to settle their dead parents' affairs, and they were just appalled by how little real estate was going for here in St. Louis, right? They're like, you can't even buy a lot to build a garage for $150,000 in Seattle. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, again, the whole thing is, how can you relate? You can't relate to somebody. Yeah, I'm from LA and we bought this lot for, $1.5 million or whatever. St. Louis people and Midwest people are like, get out of here. So we wanted it to be something that was relatable to St. Louis and the entire Midwest. And I think that's what we got going on.
Yeah, for people. So, I know our audience, we've got a ton of people in the Midwest here in our audience as well. So that's exciting. Outside of that as well, is there any way for people to get involved, virtually, or is there any other way to get involved with what you guys are building here if they're, interested at all in this market?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we don't have anything virtually right now. We don't. We're looking at possible virtual tickets, but we're really not. I mean, that's not really where we're inclined. If we do decide to offer those, it'd be kind of a last minute thing.
Fair.
Like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and offer them. But it's just not something we really intended to do originally. That wasn't the intent, but it might be. But if people are interested in getting involved and investing in St. Louis, or at least talking about, numbers and what kind of deals we can do, they can always, obviously they can reach out to me and I can help them. If it's not something I can deal with specifically, I do have a wide network I can connect them with as well. But I mean, we do have hotel discounts. We have a room, a block of rooms at the hotel where the event's being held, where we do have discount rooms, and they're going to be blown away by how cheap they are. It's a decent little hotel, and the rooms are just cheap, but we talked them into a nice little rate. So they can get those that if they go to the website, they can see the link for getting their discount room tickets if they want to, or not tickets, room nights. Yeah. Book nights at the hotel. Sorry. Geez. At a discount. So definitely, we're welcoming people from out of town. If they want to come in and get this experience, we'd love to have them.
Awesome. Yeah. So wanted to bring you on to kind of talk through that event and be able to share that with our community, especially for the people who are based, within, a somewhat reasonable distance of St. Louis for the event. November 4th and 5th, right? You said?
Right. Yeah. Okay. November 4th and 5th. Yeah.
Awesome.
The weekend before, at least, I guess, Missouri hunting season, deer hunting season, starts next weekend. So we said, nope, can't have it that weekend.
I was going to say, I definitely know a few people who are probably participating in that. So
right, we had a couple speakers who said, no, we can't speak if it's going to be that weekend. We're like, okay, good enough. Let's bump it back a week.
There we go. Well, so I know, Rich, we jumped right into the event itself, but maybe, do you mind on your end as well? Can you maybe tell the audience a little bit more about your background as well as an investor and how you got started in real estate, while we have a few more minutes here?
Yeah, sure. No problem. So yeah, I'm, born and raised in the St. Louis area, and, come from a very blue collar family. My dad was a guy who literally worked 48 hours a week, about every week I can possibly even go back and remember. He worked 6 hours a day, had 1 day off a week. And he did that, to provide for his family. And obviously he would have a couple weeks vacation a year, but we were renters. We didn't own our own home. We rented property, and, from time to time we had to move because, the owner either sold or whatever. So, I mean, there's that ingrained, understanding of the rental business and how it works that way. I mean, being the participant on that end in my family. But, like I said, yeah, blue collar background. So I wasn't born with like a silver spoon or anything like that. I went off to college and got in the corporate world and decided, I started watching, some of those TV shows on TV, like a lot of people do, where they, see a TV show and you're like, man, I could do that. That seems like a lot of fun. Plus, the money that could be made and all of that is like, I need to do it. So I actually, one night I remember laying in bed watching infomercial on TV. Probably everybody knows what infomercial that was, or a lot of people will do. But there was a guy up there named Carlton Sheets peddling his no money down system. I was like, this is incredible. So let me look into that. So I did. I ordered the system, looked through it, and my dad had come down with a terminal illness, and I was telling him, hey, I'm looking into this. I want to do it. And he's like, you know what? If you figure out how to do it, let me know. We'll do it together. So I was like, all right, cool. That's all right. Well, my dad passed right before I bought my very first rental property in 2005. And that just stuck with me. It's like, I'm going to do this. This is going to do it. So I bought my first rehab late December 2005. We flipped it in early 2006. And, I was like, this is awesome. But at the time, due to my personal situation, I had been severed from my career, that I was in. So I was laid off for a while. So bills had been piling up. So we used that money to pay off bills. And I got out of real estate investing, which was, pardon me, advice I had gotten from a professor. I had taken a course at Washington University in St. Louis, a couple courses actually on real estate investing. And I called him for some advice. And he's like, look, I don't like where the market's going. You ought to get out. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this one rehab and get out. And, it was a couple of years. He was a couple of years early, but I played it safe, got out and waited till everything happened. And when things started looking decently in 2013, my wife and I formed our company, got back into real estate investing in the creative space, doing wholesale deals mostly. And then we started buying some rental portfolio just steadily. I still have my W-2 job. I'm a corporate trainer, by trade. I've been doing that for the last 24 years, and I just absolutely love it. It'd be a lot easier to like get rid of my corporate gig if I hated what I do, but I actually love doing what I do. I love helping people. Love helping people grow. I love helping them achieve their better version of themselves, right? Whether that's just something silly like, oh, wow, now I know how to work an Excel spreadsheet, to I also train on things like time management. I train on things like emotional intelligence and critical thinking skills and things like that as well. So I just love that part of my job and what I do. So it makes it hard for me to break away because I just love that so much. So, and I think it's part of that helping people where I decided to start my first real estate investment meetup. It's going to be 7 years ago in February. So it's over 6.5 years. We started having a meetup group at Hooters in St. Louis called the Hooties House Buyers Club. And it's awesome. It's just you come in and network, because I joined a real estate investment club early in my investment career, and I would go literally. It was the biggest one in St. Louis at the time. I would go literally just for the networking part. I would go in, I would network. When the speaker came up, I would sit in the very back and wait. If they could hold my attention, I would stay. If they couldn't, I bolted. I was there just for the high of networking, right? It felt like I'd gone to church and I was all pumped up, whatever. So I would do that. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to start my own real estate group that's just going to be networking. 2 hours of nonstop, just meeting, building relationships, things like that. And then January of last year, we started, like I mentioned earlier, we started the River City REI Roundtable in St. Louis that has your traditional RIA setup where you have a speaker. We offer some free food and drink and networking and all of that as well. We have an open mic session where people can offer their deals or tell people what they're looking for, things like that. So, I mean, that's a huge, I know I wasted a bunch of time explaining where I am, where to come from, but I'm transparent. I don't have anything to hide. Sometimes I share too much, but hopefully that helped understand.
No, that's super helpful. Yeah, it's super helpful to see with your event as well. Like, you have that spirit of helping people, and of like with your W-2 job, you're doing that still, every day in a different setting, but with that same idea of wanting to help people just get better at what they do. So I love to see that, that kind of shines through with the event that you guys are throwing on the real estate front as well. So it's awesome to know your background and where you're coming from on this. And I think a lot of people can relate in our audience as well, where they're new getting into real estate, or maybe have a small portfolio, probably still have that daytime job, and are looking to balance both of those things. So it was awesome having you on here. I really appreciate you jumping on, sharing the event. Again, we'll be sharing this out with everybody, but it's at g2free.com. In St. Louis is the event, November 4th and 5th, Gateway to Freedom. Really excited to have an event like this in St. Louis personally. Just from my standpoint, like we're coming from St. Louis, I have a family here, don't plan on moving. Like, very much excited to see people like yourself, have everybody invest in the community. So thank you again for doing this, and for everything you're doing for St. Louis as well.
Well, thanks for having me on, Matt. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. We'll have to do it again. So again, November 4th and 5th, guys, it's just g2free.com. Matt Camp over here with DealMachine, and happy deal finding.
Thanks a lot.